That was it? I mean, oh,
Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Annie's Review Time. Oh wait, there it is. Okay. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about the Suicide Squad 2 movie. I don't know if it's just called the Suicide Squad or if it's called Suicide Squad 2. But either way, it's the second Suicide Squad movie. So, yeah. So, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on it and I guess saying the plot of the movie. So, spoilers. It came out like last week, I think. So, spoilers. Follow me on Instagram. Sign my petition in the description box. Okay, so yeah, alright, that's the intro, and okay.
You still look exactly like yourself.
worst fake mustache I've ever seen.
So the movie starts, and it's like they send in this original team. So they send in the first team, and it's Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, Rick Flag, I don't know who his actor is. So he was in the first one, I think. He was the main dude from the first one, who was Cara Delevingne's like husband or something. Pete Davidson, I forget his character's name. So Pete Davidson, this weasel, which was very disgusting and gross to look at. Javelin, I think his name was. I just know he's the guy with the javelin. TDK and Captain Boomerang. So, yeah. Alright, so they all go into their mission to this island. And so as soon as they get onto the island, they're like immediately being shot at because Pete Davidson's character is like, hey guys, I'm the one who called you. I have them right behind me. Yeah, so Pete Davidson turned on them and like ratted them out or something. I don't know how, if he was in prison, but he did. So they all die except for Harley and Rick. Everyone else dies. And, well, Weasel had died when they went out of the plane. He drowned or something. So Harley is still alive. Rick is still alive. Rick, they like both get taken by the people, but separately. Harley, she gets the guy's javelin, the dude Javelin's javelin. So she gets that, and now like most of the team is dead. So it goes to the beginning, and like it goes like back, so it's like 3 hours earlier, and so apparently Amanda Waller, she's the one who gets the Suicide Squad together. She had set up a second team, and so that team is Idris Elba, who's Bloodsport, John Cena, who's Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, and Polka Dot Man. Yeah. So, the second squad, and King Shark, played by Sylvester Stallone. The second squad goes onto the island that the first squad was on, and Amanda tells them that Rick Flag has been captured by the enemy, and so King Shark, he tries to eat So Ratcatcher 2, she's the daughter of Ratcatcher 1, and they have this like wand thing. It looks like those things that you get at like the BTS concerts. And so she has one of those, and when she raises it or points it at people, the rats follow and attack those people. She also carries a rat named Sebastian. If you can't tell, rats make me extremely uncomfortable, so that was really gross. then King Shark, he likes to eat people. Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, he likes to, well, he's like good at killing people, and so is John Cena. And Polka Dot Man can shoot polka dots at people. So, King Shark tries to eat Ratcatcher. They befriend, they like say like, oh, we're your friends, so you can't eat us. And so he doesn't eat them, and so then they continue on with their mission. Oh, and they find out that Bloodsport is afraid of rats. So their mission is to stop this thing, like, the Maltese government or something has been taken over by these, like, dictators or something. He killed, like, the president, so he became the president, and then he has, like, a general and some dudes and stuff, and so they have this plan to make a building called Jotunheim, and you send people in there, and they'll die, and that's somehow connected to something called Project Starfish. So, yeah. The plot of this movie is kind of really confusing, and it gets, at least I was slightly confused. So, I feel like the Maltese government stuff did not have to be in the movie at all. So, they go into this small village on this island, and they murder everyone that's there. And then they see Rick Flag. He's just drinking tea with this lady from Queen of the South. And so she was also in New Mutants. And so she's there, and they find out that they just killed freedom fighters.
I was playing.
So they have to, so they're gonna work together with the freedom fighters in order to take down the Maltese government, destroy the Jotunheim building, and stop Project Starfish, and somehow this dude named the Thinker is also involved. So then they flash back to Harley, and Harley is in a ditch somewhere, and she's like in this ditch, and they throw her a dress, and so she gets taken to the president of the evil president of the Maltese government. So, is it Maltese? I think it was Maltese or Maltesians or something. So she gets taken to the president, and he is like, I want to marry you. And so they have like this whole montage thing. And so he explains that he is going to send like men and women and children all into the Jotunheim building to murder them. And so she kills him and says like stuff like that was a red flag for their relationship. Then she gets recaptured by his goons, and the general who has now enlisted the Thinker onto his evil squad is now the president of the Maltese government. Okay, so now after I feel like a lot more nonsense happens, the squad ends up being taken. The squad ends up being taken by no, they don't get taken. The squad ends up going to a bar so that they can find the Thinker or something. So they go to the bar, and this is like their bonding time. They're all drinking and dancing and stuff. And so Idris Elba spots the Thinker. So then they take the Thinker into their van. But then they get arrested by the Maltese police because they know that the Americans are there because they're torturing Harley. So, Idris Elba, John Cena, and Rick Flag all get arrested. And they're in a van, and so that's how they find out that Harley is still alive. So, then they beat up the guys, and they beat up the police officers in the van, and leave. Then, so Rick Flag is like, we need to save Harley. So, they go to save her, but she's already, like, killed everyone that was in that building. So now she has the javelin again. So now she's, like, she spots them and finds them. And so now the whole squad is reunited. So now she's a part of the team. So, they go to Jotunheim. They go to Jotunheim. And the Thinker earlier in the film showed what Project Starfish was. It's just like this sentient starfish that they found in space with an eyeball in the middle of it. And he can, like, spit out other starfish from his sides and hit them in, like, they suction on your face, killing you instantly and then inhabiting your body. The starfish is called Starro the Conqueror. So, they go to Jotunheim with a Thinker, and so they're, like, trying to destroy the place. They set up explosives. And then they go into the they go to, like, the basement to, like, I don't know what they were trying to do, but I guess to see the starfish or something. So they go into the basement, and they're like, oh, let's, like, the Thinker is like, oh, the Americans were the ones who created Project Starfish, not the Maltesians, or Maltese people. I don't know what they're called. And so then he's like, oh, Rick Flag, who's in the military, and so is John Cena, and so is Idris Elba, but Idris Elba isn't in this scene. It's Rick Flag, John Cena, no, it's Rick Flag, Ratcatcher, and the Thinker. So he's like, no, I have to see this. So he gets the disc that proves that the starfish, that Project Starfish was in fact created by the American government. But then John Cena comes down and he pulls a gun on Rick Flag. So he's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, because I have to keep the peace or something. I don't know. And so then Rick Flag and John Cena have this fight, and John Cena kills Rick Flag. Then Ratcatcher sees all of this, grabs the disc, and goes and, like, runs away with it, because Peacemaker just wanted the disc. But she grabs it, runs away, and because the building started exploding because of something that was happening with the, like, other team, like the other half of the team, and so Ratcatcher is running, John Cena is gaining on her, he, like, beats her up and is about to murder her, when all of a sudden Idris Elba comes down to that floor, which they explain in the scene, like they like show it, which I'll talk about later. So Idris Elba comes down, and so John Cena and Idris Elba shoot at each other, and the Idris Elba's bullet goes through John Cena's bullet without touching the sides, dismantling it from the inside, shooting John Cena in the neck, and he dies instantly. Not instantly, because he has the chance to ask how, and he's like, smaller bullets. And that's a callback to the beginning of the movie, where when Idris Elba asked why John Cena's on the team if he can do the exact same things that Idris Elba can do, he's like, because I can kill people better than you can, because I use smaller bullets, which can go through your bullets, making smaller holes, and that makes it even more precise. So yeah, Idris Elba likes Ratcatcher because Ratcatcher reminds him of his daughter that he doesn't even know the age of. He thought she was 14. She is actually 16, and she's played by Storm Reid. So next, Peacemaker is dead. Peacemaker is John Cena. So then, Amanda Waller, what's happening? Okay, so Ratcatcher explains the disc to Idris Elba, like explaining how the American government does not want this coming out because this will expose them for creating Project Starfish. The Thinker was just killed by the starfish because when the building exploded, the starfish's cage also exploded. This is a giant starfish, by the way. Every time it gets a new person to latch onto, it makes itself bigger. So the starfish kills the Thinker and is now on a rampage. So Ratcatcher gives the disc to Idris Elba. Idris Elba puts it in his costume. Now they're all going. So now they're looking at they're looking at Starfish, and Starfish is destroying wherever it is that they're at. And so Amanda Waller, she's like, no, you guys need to leave. This is not part of your mission. We'll just declare the Maltesians enemies of the U.S. And so the Suicide Squad keeps going. Like, they keep walking. And so if you're unaware of how the Suicide Squad works, first, you shouldn't be watching this video because spoilers, I guess, and yeah. But the way it works is she gets a group of people who are in prison. If they do what she says and joins the Suicide Squad, then she gets 10 years. You get 10 years off of your sentence. But here's the catch. You cannot divert from the plan at all because she inserts a bomb in the back of your neck. So if you leave or try to leave, you're done. And she keeps the bomb in a briefcase. Not the bomb. She keeps the buttons of the bomb in a briefcase, and she can set the latch up, press it once, it gets ready to detonate, press it twice, and it blows your head off. So, all of Amanda Waller's co-workers are tired of her behavior because she threatened to throw a 16-year-old girl in the worst prison imaginable, the one that they are all currently in, Bel Rev, which also has human shark hybrids in it. So it also has the highest mortality rate of any prison in the world or something. So yeah, that was how she got Idris Elba to join the Suicide Squad.
The sad part, you're not going to jail. You're going to prison. That way. And that's a period, bitch.
So she's going crazy and she starts cursing at them. She's cursing a lot. And so then one of her doctors hits her in the back of the head, knocking her out. And so they're like, okay, we need to help them save the day. So they go to save the day. And Polka Dot Man, who I don't know how he managed to survive this long into this movie, but he starts shooting at the starfish with his polka dots. And he's like, wow, reminds me of my mom or something. He says it's easier for him to shoot stuff if he thinks of his mom. And so then after that, he dies. A piece of a building falls onto him. And so then King Shark bites the the starfish, Starro the Conqueror. So then Idris Elba starts shooting at it. Ratcatcher calls her rats onto it, and the rats start eating the starfish. And then Harley finally figures out what the javelin is for, and she runs up, stabs the starfish in the eye, floats in the starfish eye water, and then the rats all join her in the eye, eating it from the inside out, killing Starro the Conqueror.
Oh wow. I am disgusted.
And then Amanda has woken up from being knocked unconscious by the time they've beaten Starro the Conqueror. And so she's like, Idris Elba's like, hey, if you don't not send my daughter to prison and like a whole bunch of other stuff, then I'm going to release this disc to the world exposing the United States government. And so she's like, fine, angrily. And then they all fly back home, and everyone's friends now, and Idris Elba gets over his fear of rats, and he befriends Sebastian the rat, who is Ratcatcher's, or just like her pet rat or something. She just carries him around. And Harley says she'll be Idris Elba's friend, and that's the end of the movie. And then like we find out that Weasel is still alive. Weasel from the first squad. So that's the Suicide Squad movie.
It's upside down. See that? It's pretending to read a book.
So smart, me. Enjoy books so much.
Now, that sounds horrendous. You know what I mean? It sounds very badly written, but I'm going to break it down. I'm gonna explain some of my thoughts on the movie. I would give the movie a solid 3.5 out of 5. It was enjoyable for me to watch. I had a good time watching it. However, is it a good movie? Probably not. It is not a good movie by a standard of movie being good. It's very weirdly written, kind of. Okay, I'll talk about it in sections. So, first I'll talk about the directing.
Num num?
Really? That is what you're thinking about right now?
No, that num num no.
No, it's not num num.
I think there was a lot of interesting directing choices, but they were very like randomly put into the movie, where sometimes it was just kind of off to me. So, for example, when they go to, when they're about to go to Jotunheim, there's a fire and it says Operation Jotunheim. But then when Rick Flag, like in the same conversation, Rick Flag's like, no, we can't go to Jotunheim yet. We have to save Harley. So the thing changes to Operation Harley. But instead of it being the fire for the Harley part, it's like smoke because the fire has been slightly put out or something. I don't know. So I thought those things were very interesting. Or when Peacemaker and Rick Flag are fighting, Peacemaker's metallic cap comes off, and so part of the fight is shot through the lens of the hat. And I thought, once again, an interesting choice. However, these choices were were put in sparingly in a 2-hour and 12-minute film. I feel like if they had been, it was just like kind of like it was like stylized at some points, but then at other points, it was just kind of like a normal movie, and you have to pick between the two things because it's like a lot of your directing choices weren't something that you could just have in pieces. Like, they did the thing where it would, like, for example, when Peacemaker, John Cena, is about to kill Ratcatcher, who I don't remember her name. I don't know if they ever say it, but Ratcatcher. When he's about to kill Ratcatcher, like, he's about to pull the trigger, and then they get, like, they're feeling anxious because it's like, I felt like she probably could have died in that movie because of the fact that they were very careless with killing their characters. So they have he's about to kill her, and then it flashes back to 8 minutes before what was happening, and goes to 8 minutes, like, what was happening while the entire sequence we just watched was happening. So what the other half of the team was doing while John Cena was betraying them. And I felt like that was I thought that was a good choice. Not a good choice. I'll say it was interesting. But it was like the rest of the movie didn't, not the rest of the movie, but a lot of the movie didn't have those choices in it. Like, it was used very sparingly. I think the beginning of the movie set it up for it to be a stylized movie, and then a majority of the movie wasn't until they, like, and then it was just like pieces were used like that. And then the thing is, you can't just have it both ways. Something that I really liked about the Birds of Prey movie was the whole movie is narrated by Harley Quinn. I like the Birds of Prey movie. I like it. I like it more than this movie. So the whole movie is narrated by Harley Quinn, and it like, some of the sequences show, like, it's stylized the entire movie. It's not just like pieces where it's kind of like, oh, I forgot she was narrating the movie, or like, those are really, I don't like movies that'll have narration only at the beginning and only at the end, because why if you're not gonna have narration throughout your entire movie, what's the point? But, like, I'm not gonna say I don't like those movies, but I feel like it's a very odd choice. It's a very easy way to do, like, exposition and stuff like that, but it's like, have it do, or just at the beginning of the movie, very random, like, without revealing who the narrator is, or just, and Suicide Squad was just kind of mixed with how, I feel like they needed to, like, either go all the way in or not do it. So next I'm going to be criticizing the writing of the movie, because I feel like the writing was another thing that was a little questionable.
There doesn't seem to be any incoming traffic.
Bird.
This movie was written by James Gunn. He wrote Guardians of the Galaxy, which I've never read. Like, I don't know if they have Suicide Squad comics. I think they do. I've never read them. I've never read any Guardians of the Galaxy comic books either. But I feel like movie-wise, they are the equivalent of each other. Guardians of the Galaxy are the Suicide Squad of the MCU. And I think both Guardians of the Galaxy movies are better movies than the Suicide Squad movies. And especially better than this one in terms of, like, the balance of, like, I feel like because of the difference in what they do, you know what I mean? Because the Suicide Squad is just meant to be the fallout for the government, like the cover up. So it's like, oh, the government can do these shady things, but they can just use these bad guys to do it for them. And first, if they die, nobody's really gonna miss them, and second, you can just blame them because they're criminals, and nobody's gonna believe them because they're criminals. And that's what the Suicide Squad is. Meanwhile, the Guardians of the Galaxy are a bunch of like it's an eclectic group of people who, and a raccoon and a tree, who go through the galaxy protecting it. And I feel like that, of course, causes a different type of villain for each team. And I feel like Starro the Conqueror could have definitely been something that was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it was just kind of random. The starfish, that was their big battle against the starfish. And I feel like they didn't set it up well enough for that to be the big battle. They kept talking about it was like, I felt like all the government stuff, like the Maltese government things, that didn't need to be there. I feel like it could have just, like, and I guess if we're going to talk about, like, what makes more sense for them to be fighting, I think the Maltese government would have made more sense for them to be fighting that than for them to be fighting a giant starfish. And maybe it's kind of like in DC Legends of Tomorrow, they're very ridiculous. It's very much nonsense and foolishness. They, when they all turn into a giant Bebo, yeah, that's ridiculous. However, it's like, it's handled differently. I can take a ridiculous villain, but it has to make sense. I can like something that's ridiculous. I can't like something that's just bad. And I was very confused as to what it all meant. Like, what was the point? What was happening? I understood the characters. I understood the characters' motivations and stuff. But, another scene that I really kind of liked was when Ratcatcher is going through. I didn't like the scene. Ew, rats. Ratcatcher was talking about her backstory. And as she's sitting on the train or the bus or the van, it's showing it on the, like, it was very, I don't know anything about directing, but I liked looking at it, so that was fun. But once again, it was just not consistent with whether or not it was going to be stylized or whether or not it was just going to be shot like a normal movie. Maybe someone who knows about directing is going to say, no, that's because that's, but, like, I'm just saying this from what I like to see, and it was just very, like, it kind of got jarring at times, like, shot like a normal movie, and then boom, the leaves are moving to say Suicide Squad or something, which that was at the beginning of the movie, but that was just the first thing that came to my mind. The villains were probably the weakest part of the whole movie, and it was just kind of like they were a second thought in terms of establishing the characters and their characters' relationships. I think the movie was more about the interpersonal relationships between the characters than it was about the villains. And if that's what you're going to do, have it be that. There's two different backstabbing in this movie. At the beginning with Pete Davidson, which you don't really care about because Pete Davidson isn't that big of a character in the movie. And the second one is John Cena. And that one, I think, was better that whole sequence with John Cena was better than the entire rest of the movie. Not the entire rest of the movie, than all of the villains, I think. Because John Cena's character was someone who had already, like, the betrayal of it, which I expected, but the betrayal of it was set up much better than, like, the other two villains. There were two villains in this movie who were barely connected and they didn't have a common goal. They were just there being evil for the sake of being evil, and I guess maybe we were supposed to feel bad for the starfish because the U.S. took him out of space or something and forced him onto Earth. But, like, whatever. I didn't really care because I sometimes forgot the starfish was even in the movie when I watched the movie yesterday. That's why it's still fresh in my mind. But I forgot that the starfish was a part of the movie when I'm watching it, and, like, I saw it in, like, they said Project Starfish, and then I didn't remember it again until they showed the Thinker talking about it, and then I forgot about it again. Like, it was just kind of like they weren't memorable. And if you like the movie, I don't think you like it for its good villains. And sometimes you don't need good villains. You don't need like complex villains in order to like a story. For example, Harry Potter, Voldemort isn't necessarily a complex villain within himself. It's more of what he represents in terms of the story. But like, he's still memorable. That's the thing. They don't need to be complex to be memorable. And the villains in this movie were neither. And it was just like, why? Okay. The starfish, you had to pick one, and I think the starfish was the more ridiculous option. So if you're gonna have the starfish be the main villain, you have to fully commit to the ridiculousness of this movie. Or it could have just been a movie about them. Like, I feel like they could have eliminated both things and had it be a movie about them having to end up covering up a government secret. And that would have been just as interesting for me. I'm not going to say for other people. But this is just what I think would have been good as well. It would have, like, it just would have been better, I think. Because the starfish, the government stuff, also not good. Like, the government, I kind of forgot about them after Harley killed the main dude, and then the other guy was like, haha, I'm the president now. And he burns down the stuff from the past president, the past evil president. So it was kind of like setting up like, oh, okay, this guy, he's evil. He's really setting up to do evil things. And then no, he ends up dying in the movie, but he also, not just dying in the movie, but he doesn't do anything worthwhile after saying that he's the president now. And I feel like maybe they could have just, if you're gonna go with the star, if you're gonna commit to the ridiculousness of the movie, destroy the government stuff. Like, leave that out of the movie. But if you're going to try to go with a tactician, what am I talking about? We're gonna go for like this like kind of government style movie. While it can still be very ridiculous, you don't need the starfish. It was just something extra when it could have been any sort of experiments against people and children. I think just the experimentation, it could have been the government just trying to frame the Maltese people for experimenting on human beings, and that would have been just as well without having that stupid fight against the starfish. Also, the characters.
New dumb friends.
Now, some of these characters, they had the first team that they send in, all but 2 of them immediately die. So, and technically 3 because the weasel is still alive at the end, but still, all but 2 of them die. And then, Harley and Rick Flag. I didn't care about Rick Flag. He had no personality. However, why was there so little Harley Quinn? Why was there so little Harley Quinn to the point I forgot she was in the movie? I watched this movie for Harley Quinn. I watched it for Harley, and yet I forgot that she was in. I also watched it for King Shark because I wanted to see what he was going to do. He was my second favorite character of the movie. But I watched it for her, yet she was barely in it. It doesn't make sense to me because, like, why was she barely in the movie? Why? I loved her costume. I loved the first costume, and then she ends up wearing like a ball gown dress for the rest of the movie, which that was fine too. However, why was she barely in this movie? She was sidelined. She gets like her moments where like she's murdering people and stuff, and she's not as like sexualized as she was in the first one, which I was happy about. But like, why was there so little of her? Why am I seeing more of the polka dot man than I am seeing of Miss Harley Quinn? Why did the polka dot man's costume look like that? That was poorly made. Also, why was he in this movie? The movie could have done without him. I think they could have added Captain Boomerang instead, who was in the first team. They could have had Polka Dot Man. They're like, why did he survive so long? What was the point? I didn't really care for him. It wasn't like they didn't delve that deep into his character for me to care about him. They didn't go that deep into the characters as they could have. The deepest they went to was Ratcatcher and Bloodsport. Like, that was it. Like, and I get not having Harley's backstory again, because if you're watching this movie, you already know Harley's backstory. You already know why she's here. You know what she's doing. However, I didn't know anything about the Polka Dot Man or like John Cena's character. Not that I'm really asked. Like, it kind of felt like, why was John Cena there? How is he automatically better than Idris Elba if they do the same thing? Anyways, the characters, some of them were very hit or miss. The Weasel, disgusting. Why was he there? Was it funny? Or was it just gross?
Slay! Slay!
Next, we have the pacing of the movie.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
What? No.
If you mismatch blacks, you die.
No.
If you cough without covering your mouth.
Harley, those last three aren't things. Although.
So, this is a 2-hour and 12-minute film. Did not need to be. I'll tell you that now. There was so much. I explained this movie with this. There was so much that did not need to be there. I think there were, like, once again, you need to stop. I think the two villains very much, but they didn't have much of a presence in the film. I think it was just like they worked a lot on the interpersonal relationships between the characters, and then also having gritty murder scenes, and not enough on actually showing the villains of the movie. But it was very poor pacing, where some stuff dragged on for a while, and it just kind of felt like this could have went on the cutting room floor. Also, speaking of characters, I didn't say this in the beginning. King Shark did not do that much in this movie. I liked him, I really did, because I like animals, like dumb animals, awesome. Like, he's like the Groot of the movie, obviously, but he's like saying like nom nom and stuff, and it's really adorable. However, he did not. What was he doing? What was he doing in the movie? What did he do in the film? What did he do in this film? At least Groot was like destroying. He gave his arm to be Stormbreaker. What did King Shark do in this movie? I did not see one. I think I mentioned King Shark once in my when I wrote down everything that happened in this movie. They needed to go deeper into everything. That I think they didn't use their time wisely. Also, the murdering. I won't just say the murdering. I'll say the edginess of it.
I haven't got many of those.
I could be your friend, Milton.
Not my name.
What? What are you talking about? We just had a conversation for like 3 hours about how your name is Milton.
I think some of it came off as like, it just kind of like, I don't know, once again, I don't know how people felt about this movie. I didn't read reviews. I know some people really liked it. Like, some people on my Instagram liked it. But like, sometimes it felt like it was just trying a little too hard to be edgy for me. With the murdering and stuff, like the bloodiness of it. I think I think this film is rated R. So first, that should have been like because I thought it was dumb. I think it's dumb when people complain about rated R movies being like bloody or something, because that's just dumb. They warned you. However, I wasn't so much disturbed or anything as I was just like, the thing that really bothered me were the rats. Did you see me shivering when I was talking about them? Ew. But it wasn't so much the bloodiness of it as it was like, you're trying to be very edgy. It was like they would have, it was just kind of like, okay. I felt like it also could have been more colorful. I think that would have also added to it. Just to like, I don't know. I think add some more color in it. Not polka dots. Add color to the film. Like, that's not gonna hurt, and I think that actually, I like colorful films, like films with a colorful aesthetic that offset the darkness of the movie. I think that's great, because I think that also would have been another stylized choice. I think I liked the costumes, most of them. Like I said, first, I didn't like Peacemaker's. Second, I didn't like Polka Dot Man's. But I liked Harley's. Like I said, I really liked her outfits. I liked the way they dressed her. And I also liked Bloodsport's. And Rick Flag didn't really wear a costume, so I won't talk about him. And I thought King Shark looked nice. And I think Ratcatcher looked cool, I guess. But I feel like they could have been so much more color. So yeah, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. This movie, I wouldn't ever watch it again. I'll say that. I'll never watch this movie again. I say that, but then I'll probably end up watching this again. But, after seeing it for the first time, I would never watch this movie again. It was I got a little confused while watching it. I don't know if that just means I'm not on par to be, like, with the story beats, but, like, I got confused. And it just wasn't great enough for me to watch it again. I don't know. I liked the characters. I think the characters were a highlight of the movie, and I think they had really good chemistry with each other, which I think carried the movie. I think if they didn't have good chemistry, then that would have been the falling. Then this movie would be panned, which, like I said, I don't know. I just know some people on my Instagram like it. So, yeah. So yeah, that's the movie. Yes, I just hit myself in the face. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. Alright. And follow me on my Instagram, so I'm a petition in the description box below. You can watch my last video somewhere on the screen. Click on my channel, which will be somewhere else on the screen, and watch a different video, which will be somewhere else on the screen. So, yeah. Alright, and I'll see you guys next week.